few years back, local brewer, Bell's Brewery, released a series of beers. It's based on a musical composition by Gustav Holtz. My rules for this: first, I crack open the beer. Second rule, I start the song. And then I start the movie while I drink the rest of the beer. I am back. Took a little break there after the last movie to get some food and whatnot. It is already just after 7, about quarter after 7 in the evening. I've been doing this since noon. And what I am doing is a tour of the solar system using Bell's Planetary Series beers. So far I've done Mars, Venus, Mercury, and now we are up to Jupiter. So what I'm doing is, for those just joining, I am cracking the beer open, and then I am listening to the musical piece by Gustav while I sample the beer, and then I am putting on a movie. Most of these movies are based on what the local Alamo Drafthouse did when the beers were first released. They did kind of a release party for each one with a special movie. And for Jupiter, they showed the film 2001 by Stanley Kubrick. I have some things to say about this. We'll get into that in a minute though. So far, all of the beers have been good. I got the set from my friend Dana. The Jupiter is the bringer of Jollity. Keep in mind I have been drinking since noon. Jollity, Jollity. It is a brown ale, which is not my usual kind. Ooh, this one is older. No, this one's actually newer than the other ones I've drank so far. This particular one was bottled in 2015, and its alcoholic content is 8.0%. So a little higher than the last one, but a little less than a couple of the other ones I've done already. So let's crack this open. Yeah, no, that smells very good. Let's get the song playing, and then I will pour it out and we'll take a look at it. Oh, yes. This sounds very much like, I don't think it's the same song, but it sounds very much like a Western song. Kind of a dun, dun, dun. Well, you can hear it. Not as much as a head on there as the last one. It is quite dark brown. It smells good. It smells wonderful, actually. Yeah, it's definitely drinkable. It's a little bit more bitter, which is not my usual thing for beers, but it's not bad. Yeah, that's not bad. Hi, Neil here from the future. Sorry for the break from my established format, but it was at this point in recording I had some technical difficulties with my equipment. Namely, the iPhone I was using to record these videos got full and stopped recording. This was something I was a little worried about. I didn't know exactly how long it would record, but I went ahead, and unfortunately it was during this movie that it stopped. Unfortunately, I did not notice the recording had stopped until well into the movie. And then at that point, I also had to take my phone in and plug it into the computer, erase some files off of it to make room for more recordings, and then I could continue. I decided to let the movie keep playing, and I was kind of watching it between checking status of the file transfers, but unfortunately that means there's not a lot of recording for this movie. Now, I was live streaming during the first 30 minutes or so of the movie, so I do have that footage, and I think I'm going to insert that here. But unfortunately, the quality is quite a bit lower, especially with the audio. I apologize for that, but otherwise, this video wouldn't be very long. So I'm going to keep going with that footage at the moment, and then once it gets to the point where I was recording with my iPhone again, the footage will cut back. Sorry, it's the best I can do. I will say, I haven't mentioned this yet. This is the London Symphony Orchestra version of these songs that is playing. I bought it on iTunes originally, so I think it's still available there if you're interested in listening to it. So it is a little bit more jaunty. I like it. Of my thoughts on the movie, 2001: A Space Odyssey, Stanley Kubrick It's made some wonderful films, some great films. I appreciate this movie for what it is and what it does. However, the whole movie has like 15 minutes of plot, and it's stretched out over. It's not even stretched out over that 2 hours. The thing is, like, if I were gonna edit it, I don't know what I would cut out personally, because it is wonderfully amazing visually. It's everything from the effects to just the visuals in general are amazing, and that's Stanley Kubrick. Of course, it's going to be, but to my mind, there's just not a lot of story there, and it can be a slog to sit through. I am going to enjoy the beer though while I start watching it. As soon as the song is done, it's got about a minute left, so let's let it go. Keep in mind, there are 3 more beers after this one too, and I am going to do my damnedest to get through them all today. Again, I like this one. This one to me sounds more like an Old West type score, movie score, and that is done. So let's get on to the movie. Tell you, this movie, it crawls at a snail's pace. And now 20 seconds of black. Nothing is happening on the screen. There we go. The dawn of man. There's the Jaguar. Trying to take him down. So these are all just guys in costumes, and considering that, they do a pretty good job. Though I mean, they've been doing people in ape costumes since Planet of the Apes. So. I have the captions turned on and just an 8-man screen. Oh, if only all conflicts could be so easily settled, just shaking your fists about in the air and screaming until one side runs away. Yeah, there's a lot of just nothing in this movie. It's, like I said, it's well shot, it's beautifully done, but it's just, there's nothing really to comment on at the moment. I apologize. Now, they're going to get fingerprints all over it. I imagine the monolith being somewhat like a stainless steel refrigerator. It just shows fingerprints. Terrible to no end. and there's a jump cut to the future. So I'm going to go ahead and finish my beer, finish watching 2001: A Space Odyssey, and I'll see you again in like 2 hours because this movie is freaking long. All right, enjoy. Right now, it's at the part the one astronaut. Hal just killed the one astronaut. The other one's stuck in the pod, asking Hal to open the pod bay doors. Again, very creepy scene, but it lasts very long and not a lot is happening. So a little bit more is happening in this scene because you do have the struggle between the two, but there are a lot of shots, especially in that opening with the apes. There are just a lot of random nature shots that have nothing to do with anything, and they're beautiful. They're well shot. They look great. It's just I don't need to sit here and look at the sunset for 3 minutes of runtime. You could have easily cut that out, in my opinion. So I thought about going back, stopping this movie, starting it over. The thing is, I'm pretty much already done with the beer. I was already kind of thinking about cheating this movie a little bit anyway, maybe boarding through some sections. And I did kind of divert my attention when I was downloading stuff to the computer, because that took a while, because like I have several 2-hour long videos at this point that I had to move over, and it took a while, not to mention a ton of photos that I'd never. So I was kind of already splitting my attention between the movie and that. I'm just going to let it run because I would like to get through the other two movies tonight. I would like to do them all in one sitting. I do really appreciate the technical aspects of this movie too. All the little sciencey things like the pod that he's in right now and how he's having to open the door manually. I think those things were really well thought out, really well done. Another one of the things I feel they do really well is the sound design. Like right now, he's wearing a helmet, and you kind of hear him breathing through, I guess maybe like the radio in his helmet. You can hear the claustrophobicness, how claustrophobic it is within his helmet from just the sound of the breathing inside there. And that extends to the rest of the ship too. I mean, the ship, it's a very large ship, but all the individual compartments are fairly tiny. And when he's going into a space like this, that's fairly small. They do give a good sense, both with the visuals and the audio, just how claustrophobic it is, I think. I also do like how they kind of make you feel bad for Hal. He wasn't so much of a villain. He did try to kill them. He did try to get rid of them. But he was kind of trying to protect himself in that moment and make sure that the mission was complete. He wasn't really doing it just to do it. He wasn't doing it to be evil. And when they basically kill him here, you kind of feel for him. You kind of feel like maybe they could have worked it out differently, but not really. They had to do this. Nowadays, this whole sequence would be the trailer. They would show this all in the trailer to get to see the movie. It'd be interesting to see this part on the big screen, in the dark theater, coming at you. So it's kind of this stuff that just keeps going on and on. I think it's supposed to represent his actually traveling through space, through the Stargate of the monolith, possibly. I don't know. It's a lot of artsy shots of, like right now, it's a lot of artsy shots of nature with a filter over it. I don't know if the filters are supposed to make it look like an alien world. It's a lot of, not necessarily the exact same thing, but kind of the same thing over and over again for like several minutes now. I don't even know how long. And that just, I feel like a lot of this could be cut down. Now again, I don't know if I want to say this part is shot beautifully. Like the part with the eyeballs, cool. I get it. I kind of get that part. And I get what the other part is trying to do. I think it just goes on way too long. Okay, so here now we're moving into a different area. So, like, I get the visuality, like that shot where the reflection of the controls in the pod kind of look like the thing he just went through, like with all the lights and stuff coming around him. No, I get that there's artistic merit to this. I get that there's artistic thought put into it. It's just a lot of it feels unnecessary to me. I would like to say this whole section here, when I talk about like 15 minutes of plot within a 2-hour movie, like this actually is some very good stuff. There's no real dialogue here, but I don't feel it needs the dialogue. There's a lot of stuff happening in this whole sequence, and I think this whole part of the movie is very great. I just wish more of the movie were like this part of the movie. And that was 2001: A Space Odyssey. I'm sure the things I said about it, there will be some people that take umbrage towards. That's fine. I don't think it's everyone's favorite movie. I think people do recognize it for what it is as far as visually. And while my phone was finishing up uploading some of the video to my computer so I could clean it off the phone and start recording again, I was watching some of it. It was the scene where they were discussing what they need to do with Hal, because he's obviously having issues. And they're in the pod and they're turned around and they have all the things off so he can't hear them, but he's like watching them and he's reading their lips. And I have to admit, watching that was genuinely creepy. I felt creepy in that scene. I felt worried for the two astronauts. So it's not a bad film. Individually, there are things within it that are great, that are amazing. It's just when you take the film as a whole, that's where it falls apart for me, because I just get very bored through large sections of it. Overall, anyone who says it's their favorite film in general, I think you're crazy, personally. To each their own, but really, I can think of like so many other movies I would rather watch before I watch this one again. And I wouldn't be watching this one tonight if it weren't part of my tour of the solar system. So that's my opinion. Do with it what you will. Go get set up for the next movie. It's about 10 o'clock at night now. I'm really going to try to do at least 2 more movies and probably double up the last 2 beers with the one movie, just because it's if I don't do that, I'm going to have to cut it off and pick it up tomorrow morning. I don't want to have to do that, especially with only like 1 beer left. We'll see you in the next video. Have a good evening.